Good morning. Okay, are we going to have to start taking these sofas with us everywhere we go? I think we are. Probably going to have to start taking the sofas with us everywhere we go. Let's get everybody to move up. Find a seat on the sofa or on up here. We're so glad to be here at Harbor and Union. So, good morning. I'm Mindy Tate, CEO of Franklin Tomorrow, and welcome to our August Frank Talks. And thank you to Harbor and Union for giving us a chance to see this great space. How many of you, this is your first time to be at Harbor and Union? Okay, great. What great exposure. Yay. We're so excited about that. So Frank Talks is a monthly event, and we appreciate and covet, quite honestly, the support of our partners, which include our sustaining partners, Atmos Energy, and they're great, Christina Christensen and Kenny Hay. Kenny Hay's getting ready to retire after 40-something years with Atmos Energy, and we look forward to spending some time with him just being Kenny, so that'll be great. Then also, of course, Williamson Health is a great partner for the entire community close to you, and we are so excited that they are a sustaining partner and help us with our events, and we are glad they usually have a message for us, but they've been pretty busy opening that new tower out there at the facility near I-65. So we would encourage you, if you haven't, take a visit out there and see that space, and they would be happy to give you a tour, I'm pretty sure. So also, for our presenting partner for Frank Talks is Renaissance Bank. Diane LeBlanc is here. Diane, you have anything to say? Or?
Good morning. Great to see all of you here. What a neat space. This is fun. Just wanted to say, I think we have a video. And I'll tell you just a little bit about what's going on at Renaissance. We acquired, or we have brought news out that we will be acquiring a partner bank, the first, not to be confused with any other bank, but the first out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And as you all know, we're over 120 years old, sticking to what we know in that southeast corridor. So this will add about 116 locations to our already 186, so a little over 300 locations, and will take us to about $25 billion in assets. Nothing changes here locally. You will still be taken care of by Harrison, Tony, Zane, Tina, Bridget, myself, Tammy, our great team here in Franklin, and just a little bit exciting for us. So I think we just have a quick video to share. Thank you.
Another great Saturday of college football.
You're always pushing yourself. There's no time to rest. You keep moving forward. The only thing better than your last accomplishment is your next.
What's next?
What's next?
What's next?
So, Allie, what's next?
I guess we'll see.
Find a bank that's as excited about your future as you are. A bank that asks,
what's next?
Renaissance Bank, understanding you.
Thank you so much, Diane. And I'm just going to have to say, no Tony Sharp presence here today, which fits in with, I've been to his office now 3 times, and he's never there. They say he's always at some benefit charity golf tournament, but okay, if that's his story and sticking with it, I'd go with it, you know? It's all good. Also, of course, thank you to our friends from McDonald's, who are a coffee sponsor. We appreciate them so much, and look forward to the reopening of the facility on 96 West. I drove by this weekend. I've been traveling a lot. Drove by this weekend, and they're actually putting like framing on the outside, like wood and substance on the outside. It still doesn't have windows, and I couldn't smell the French fries cooking, but hey, it was close. So we're excited. So I want to get started this morning, people to know. So we have 4 people that I want to introduce you to, and as I've said, I love meeting new people. It's one of the things that's the most enjoyable about my job, but I also like discovering new spaces. And what about this space? And there's a second floor, and I know Tina Marie will offer you all a tour afterwards if you want to see the full facility. But what a great place, so close to downtown, and such a great and open space. So we're going to start our panel this morning, and so I'm going to call up Tina Marie Cotton. Come on up, Tina Marie. And then Bradley Brochures, Chris Musgrove, and Nat Taylor. Y'all come on up and take a chair. How about that? That'll be great. In the hot seat to start with. So many people have asked us today about this space, and so we thought it was a smarter idea to let Tina Marie go first, and then it'll be Chris, and then it'll be Bradley, and then it'll be Nat. It's like they seated themselves just naturally. It was the natural order of something. I'm not sure. Here's the clicker for you. It's quite a bit of power there. I know you can handle it, though. I know you can handle it. And then we'll get started, and I'll hand the microphone to you.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm going to stand up, I suppose. All right. Well, thank you, Mindy and Emily, for hosting Frank Talks here at Harbor and Union, and welcome all of you to Harbor and Union. It looked like there were quite a few new people in the space, so it's just always good to have new folks come in here and kind of get to know who we are and what we're doing here. All right, so, okay, it works, that's good. I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about myself, because you can't be on a People to Know panel and not talk about yourself, so that's one of my favorite things to do, I suppose. But from a professional standpoint, I have a bachelor's degree in communications. I've spent the last 13 years working in marketing. I recently came from Bohan Advertising, if any of you have heard of that company in Nashville. I've developed brand identities, strategies, and tactical executions for a handful of brands. I think I lost count after year 3 how many brands I've actually worked on. And here are just a few that you might recognize. Dollar General, CapWealth is a local one, Franklin Madison, We Go Public Transportation. I'm currently a certified business coach, so that's what I do here at Harbor. Are we still there? Okay. So yeah, I'm a certified business coach here at Harbor and Union, and while I have worked on a lot of different brands, there's something that I realized over the years that I really love. It's people. You might hear businesses refer to themselves as B2B or B2C, but I believe in P2P, people to people. Yeah, so I think it's really important to develop relationships, and I think that's how brands become what they are, is because of the people, right? I also love to see businesses grow, so that's kind of why I'm here in the first place. So a little bit more about me. I'm going to share some personal things, because professionally, that's kind of boring, right? So from a personal standpoint, here are some of the things that I'm really proud to be. I'm so much more than Harbor and Union and what we're doing here. So I'm just going to highlight a few things. I love nature. I really love and am super proud of the hydrangeas I planted in my backyard last year, and they're growing and flourishing, so I'm really proud of that. I am formerly a kickboxing instructor in Nashville, so if you've ever taken a hot box class, I apologize, but you had a great workout. I am married to David Catterton. He and his family, you may know Chuck and Julie Catterton. They're really wonderful people in our community. They've been here since the 80s. And so I'm fortunate enough to marry one of those unicorns. And they're just a great family. So I'm really proud to be David's wife. And even more than that, I'm super proud of our daughter, Addison. She's 2.5 years old. She is quite literally the joy of our lives. We're recently going through potty training, so if you've ever experienced that before, please pray for me. It's going pretty well, I will say that. But the other thing I'm really proud of is my mother owns a small business in upstate New York, which is where I'm from. I moved here about 13 years ago. So I've had a front row seat at quite literally the blood, sweat, and tears that it takes to run a business, and I'm really proud of her. And I like to say, I may have been born and raised in upstate New York, but I really grew up here in Tennessee. I moved here about 13 years ago and kind of figured out my path professionally, met my husband, had my daughter, and having a child will make you grow up no matter what stage you're at, right? So I like to say that I grew up here in Tennessee. Lastly, I'm part of the Fieldstone Farms neighborhood. Shout out to Chris over here. We're neighbors. We may be biased, but it's the best neighborhood in Franklin, Tennessee. So that's a little bit about me. But what am I doing up here at the front of the stage, right? It's because here at Harbor and Union and at the core of me, we believe that work is the greatest vessel for human impact. So we believe if you can create an environment where people feel inspired, motivated, they look forward to coming to work, then they're going to do great work. And that great work is going to impact our immediate community and the world. So in addition to that, work is great and we believe in great work, but we also believe in the people, right? The small business owners and the people that work for small businesses, because these people are not just, random people. These are our friends, our family, our neighbors. They're people that we care about, and so we believe in them and the business that they're running. So we created this ecosystem for small businesses where people can come in here and work with their teams, their clients, they can collaborate, they can be inspired, they have an environment that really feeds them and what they're trying to do in their business. And we really want to see them thrive. We don't just want business owners to show up and be like, okay, we're just getting by. We want you to do amazing work and we want to see you thrive, especially those in our community. And to that point, because if you do great work, then we know that our community is going to benefit from it, right? And not just the community in Franklin, our friends, our families, but the world. So what does that mean? I do want to pause here to just say that I'm not a one-woman show. I may be up here talking today just because, why not? I like to talk. But there's a whole team of people who support Harbor and Union's efforts. So I do want to give a shout out to Camila. She's our experienced designer. She's in the far back there in the lime green shirt. And she helps put on events like this, making sure that the chairs are set up, the food is stocked. She does a wonderful job, and I'll get into more about what that looks like for Harbor and Union. I also want to shout out Madeline. She's our space manager. I won't draw too much attention to her because she loves it, but she's our space manager. She makes sure that everybody in our space feels like they belong, right? They feel comfortable, they have what they need to thrive here. And then Jordan, he's not here today, but he's our fearless leader. He's our president of Harbor and Union. He's also EVP of Diaconia, which is our parent company. And then lastly, but not least, is Chris. He's our sales, marketing, and brand guru. So if you're ever curious about branding and what it means to, lead a business, you want to talk to Chris Cruz. So, all right. So there's 3 ways that we help small businesses. Is everybody still with me? Okay, good. I'm not talking too much. I'm good on time. Okay, awesome. All right. So there's 3 ways that we help with small businesses. We've got this physical space, right? So look around. There's 27,000 square feet here. We've got this floor, and then we've got the second floor. There are private offices, there's hot desk memberships, there's meeting rooms. We've got 5 meeting rooms that you can rent. You don't actually have to be a member to rent our space. Are we there yet? Okay, we're good. And I do want to call attention to our space because, if you're a business accelerator, you're starting a new business, you could easily build something out wherever, right? Pick a plot of land and build something. But we are very intentional about choosing the factory. I believe we've signed a 7-year contract with Holiday Properties, so we hope to be here much longer than that. But we are very intentional because much like all of you in the community of Franklin, there's 2 things we believe also in addition to small businesses, but we believe in honoring and respecting the past. So if you look around our building, the integrity of our building is still maintained, right? You see the original brick, the single pane windows, some of the flooring is the same. But in addition to that, we also believe in the progress and celebration for the future. So that's why we've got these modern, sleek, more sophisticated fixtures in our space, because we want to do both. We want to honor the past, but we also want to celebrate the progress and the future of our community. All right, moving along, experiences is the second way that we support small businesses. So most of you have probably gone to an event before, right? And maybe you left and you're like, could have taken it or left it, right? We don't want that. We want people to come to our space and we want them to feel like, man, I can't wait to go back to Harbor and Union. Or not even just about Harbor and Union, but whatever event that you're planning, we want people to say, man, Mindy Tate sure does know how to throw a party. Yeah, so we like to create lasting impressions for people. So it's more than the tables, the chairs, the technology. It's how do you make people feel in the room? That's what we're after. And that's where Camila comes in. She does a fabulous job with that. So we offer turnkey event planning and full service hospitality. So if you're booking a conference room and you're trying to lead a team through a lunch and learn, you shouldn't have to worry about the food that's being catered, right? We're gonna do that for you. You should be able to focus on the connections that you're trying to make in the room and the material you're trying to cover. All right, lastly, business coaching. That's where I come in. I'm a certified business coach, and as a person who believes and loves small businesses, I think it's important for owners to feel like they're not alone. I'm sure if some of you are business owners, I see a few of you for sure, at times you probably feel like, man, I don't know how to do this. My product, my service is awesome, but like, I don't know how to operate a business. I've never done this before. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. And that's where a coach can come alongside you, quite literally hold your hand if you want. I'll even pass you a tissue if you need it, and help you navigate those challenges. So if you are a small business owner, I want to ask you one question right now. What keeps you up at night? Do you feel like you have to figure it out on your own? Well, you don't have to. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. I had a lot more information, but I'm going to give you guys, or myself and Madeline, we're going to give you a tour of our space after this meeting if you like. I do want to call out some of the amenities that really sets us apart. I visited a lot of co-working spaces, and they're fabulous, right? But I think we're a little more fabulous. We offer 24/7 access to our space. We've got 2 cafe bars, and typically there are a ton of snacks out there, so I've never had so many great snacks in my life. It's amazing. The coffee machines are pretty awesome too. We also have a boutique fitness center upstairs, so I really encourage all of you to check that out. It's really nice. We offer day passes, hot desks, private offices, and meeting rooms. I did previously mention that. So I'm gonna skip ahead to, here we go. Some pictures of me, more. The other thing that we do, once a month, we host an event for small business owners in our space. I think a couple of you have been there already, so thank you for showing up. But it's called The Round, and we do have a few events coming up in September, October, November, December. So if you're a small business owner and you're looking for connections, for a workshop, for an opportunity to hear from another local entrepreneur, please save those dates, and we'd love to see you there. And then just for you, for showing up today, we do want to offer everybody a free day pass. So you're welcome to stick around and work from our space after this meeting, or you can scan that QR code and say, hey, I want a free day pass, and you can come back another time. If you know somebody else who would be interested in this space, you're also welcome to pass that along if you yourself don't want to use it. So I'll give you a second to scan that and get out of everyone's way. And then the second thing we want to offer to you is a $99 business assessment and coaching session with me. So if you are a small business owner and you've got some things that are keeping you up at night, I encourage you to email me, and I'll click to the next slide in just a second. I see some cameras up. But this will give us an opportunity to get to know each other. I'm going to ask you some really tough questions. We're going to work through some things together, and I feel like you're going to leave that meeting feeling more motivated, encouraged, some clarity on where you need to go. All right, next slide. If you have a phone in front of you, pull that up. I want you to pull up your email. This is if you're a small business owner. It's okay, nobody's gonna yell at you. I'd like you to start emailing me. My name is Tina Marie at harborandunion.com, okay? And I want you to put in the subject line, business assessment. And that's how we're gonna make sure that you get that scheduled. We're gonna talk, we're gonna figure some things out, and you're gonna feel much better about your business. All right, folks, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Tina Marie. They've been great to work with, and to find, sort of find a space that will hold this number of people on a Monday morning is a great thing. And so we're glad that you all were willing to partner to host Frank Talks, and we'll probably be back here in October for our Vision City Conference that we're doing in conjunction with Seaside Institute out of Florida. why history matters to the future, or how history matters to the future, and we'll be here at least part of one day for that session. So Tina Marie's working with small business owners, and next we're going to hear from Chris Musgrove, who's working with people entering the workforce, our young college graduates. We were so lucky last year, Franklin Tomorrow, to have a great Franklin Fellow, Lane Newman. Many of you met Lane during her time with us, and it was a great experience for us to have Lane from the Franklin Fellows. Chris is new in his role directing the Franklin Fellows, but you're a business coach or a life coach too, probably, for these young students, I would imagine, right? Unofficially. So I'm going to give you the microphone and the clicker, and it's great power, so here you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Again, my name is Chris Musgrove, and a little about me and my family. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, and so I was born and raised here, but I left 25 years ago and have been gone since 2 months ago in June. So I'm both from Nashville, but also one of the people that have moved here recently. My wife, Anne Marie, is from Birmingham, Alabama. We have 3 kids. My 2 boys are in Grassland Middle School this morning, and my little girl, who is our favorite, is at Walnut Grove. And I moved to be the director of Franklin Fellows. And so a little bit about Franklin Fellows. Each year we welcome 10 to 12 recent college grads, and we run a 9-month program with them to help them start well in their new career. And so a little bit of an overview. We are part of something called the Fellows Initiative. This started out of Falls Church, Virginia. It has over 30 programs, started in 2006. There's probably 250 fellows all around the country, coast to coast. And what we do, if you just in kind of one sentence, raising up the next generation of leaders for the church and city through the seamless integration of faith, work, service, and hospitality. So I would like to tell you just a little bit about my story, and just so you get to know me and how I ended up being so interested in this faith-based nonprofit called Franklin Fellows, and why I believe it's so great and why I love being a part of it. After I graduated college in my 20s, I spent 4 years overseas in missions work, and so we spent a lot of time living in places like this, leading teams. We got immersed in cultures and customs that were just amazing to be a part of. And we built friendships. This is 23-year-old me, by the way. That was 20 years ago. But built like true, just meaningful friendships with people all over the world from different cultures. And so the main thing I would say about my experience in my 20s, my life felt so significant. I felt like what I was doing had tons of meaning. Life felt like a real adventure. And I loved my life a lot. And so while it was really great, there was also a huge problem in my life in my 20s when this thing was true of me. We would lead college students overseas, and then at the end of the year, many of them, we'd bring them back and we'd send them to Nashville and Birmingham and Atlanta, and we'd put them in a place like this. And I'd go, well, how does your life hold the same amount of significance as it had in places like this and this, knowing eventually you have to transition and navigate a workspace like this? And so this ended up to be this monster. And if you're in college, I always would tell my college students, when you graduate college, you're facing 80 to 100,000 hours of work in your lifetime. And how you think about that work is going to shape your experience. And so how do we make sense of those 80 to 100,000 hours of work? And if you're a recent college graduate, you have ways of doing this. And your first method will probably be to try to avoid that work. And there's ways to avoid working. Grad school is an option. Universities would love to take your tuition and delay that. There's something called a boomerang generation, which you leave and you come back and you can live with your parents for a while and figure it out. There's also the other end of the spectrum, the FIRE generation, if you're familiar with this, to be financially independent and retire early, right? So the sooner you get done, the better. or the kind of middle road, which is remote work, and the TikTok influencers that you see kind of doing meetings by the pool or in the resort in the Bahamas, and it's some kind of mix of these, but they all have the same thing in common. They all avoid work. Work is an obstacle. It's something to navigate around, and if you want to live a good life of meaning and purpose, you have to deal with this problem, this issue in the world called work. Now, I think there's another method that people will use that I will call incentives or utility. My boys, I think, are like this. And by the way, I love incentives. The economy is built on proper incentives. I think good parenting has proper incentives. So on a Saturday morning, my boys will wake up and they love buying football and basketball cards that are way too expensive. And of course, they don't have any money. So they go, Dad, will you take us to Target so we can buy football cards? Say, do y'all have any money? They don't. So you go, okay, well, what can you do to earn money? And the only things they can kind of do at this point of their life is wash cars and cut the grass. So they are willing to wash the car and cut the grass so that maybe they will get $20 so that we can go to Target and they can buy their football cards. And those are incentives, and I think that is appropriate. And again, that's a great way for me to teach my kids about work and earning something. The problem, if they end up being in their 30s and 40s and 50s, I worry they're going to have the same mindset. But instead of working on a Saturday to buy football cards, they'll say, we'll work all week long if you leave us alone on Saturday and let us play a round of golf or watch the game. I'll work 50 weeks a year if I can go to the beach for a week in the summer, right? I'll work overtime if maybe I can get a raise and maybe that would help me get the new truck or the new neighborhood or the new thing that we're after. It's an incentive, but I think there's a place beyond that. So at Franklin Fellows, we want to help people who are starting their career to go to the next level of work, much like what you mentioned earlier, that this is a place of deep purpose and true identity. And so that your work really matters. What if it wasn't something to be overcome or something negotiated with or avoided? But what if this was the avenue that God was going to use you the most in your life to bless your neighbor and to serve your community? What if you were created for this, to bring goodness into the world, not just on Saturday when you get off work, but through your 9-to-5 job? And so this is what we want to do. And we see purpose, deep purpose comes from this greater like meta narrative that you're a part of. What is the trajectory of your life in the world? What story are we inhabiting? And how do we participate? That there are things in our community and in our world and in our greater story that calls for our participation. Right? There are things wrong in this world. Right now there are classrooms without teachers, and there are Excel sheets that are complete messes. And you may be drawn to one of those kind of chaotic places that needs your participation, that needs your... There's waiting rooms that are waiting for nurses and doctors, right? There are people looking for jobs, and you're gifted at creating jobs. So there'll be a place in the world that calls for your participation. So purpose, but also identity. And so we want our fellows to know not just the world around them and the needs, but how they're created. What are their gifts and passions? What are their stories? Right? That there are just some things they are driven to do. There's a famous quote by Eric Liddell in Chariots of Fire. He was a runner, and he has this famous quote, and he goes, I know God made me for a purpose, but he also made me fast. And when I run, I feel God's pleasure. Right? Just you're created to do certain things. When I run, I do not feel God's pleasure. I feel cursed in some ways or something. But there's other things I was created to do that I don't know. I wake up and I should do them. It is inside me to do it. And so this is what we try to do. We try to take recent graduates and connect them to these deeper places and go, your work, those 80 to 100,000 hours, maybe some of your best, and we try not to get too idealistic. We want them to be gritty and to show up and to work hard, and not every day is going to be a blog post waiting to happen or an Instagram or TikTok video. So we want them to work hard, but say this might be the primary place in your life that you're going to love your neighbor, serve your community, and experience great joy and deep satisfaction through your work. So this is what we do on a 9-month curriculum. We work Sorry, never got to that one right there. We work 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And we do a program day on Friday, and so we try to weave these things together in really beautiful ways. We want to be a blessing to the community and do that through building the imagination that can handle those 80 to 100,000 hours of work. So that's what we do. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chris. I have some friends who live in Canada, and when their daughter graduated from her college program, it was the summer after, and they were sitting at the lake, and she said, Dad, I've been meaning to ask you, how long do you actually usually work? How long do people actually go to work? How many years do I have to put in doing this? And he laughed and said, I think maybe you were in the wrong program at school if you haven't found your purpose, maybe a little bit. So it's a great experience to have the Franklin Fellows in our community, and we again had a wonderful experience. And I'm going to get him to wave from the back so you can go up and talk to him. Jeremy Qualls, will you wave? We've got all levels of coaches and people building young entrepreneurs here in our community. Jeremy's the director of the Williamson County Entrepreneur and Innovation Center through Williamson County Schools, and they're doing great things. And one of their students just won the National Entrepreneur Contest. There were over 500 submissions, and one of our young men won that, and he's building his business right now, so he might be good for you in a couple months. So let's all now kind of shift our gears. We're going to talk about history. Who knows, I don't want to spoil your thunder, but I'm going to ask, who knows that Williamson County is celebrating a big birthday this year? Okay, Bradley Boshiers is going to tell us from Williamson County Archives, is going to tell us a little bit about that. That.
All right, well, thank you, Mindy, and good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here at this Frank's Talks program to get to tell you a little bit about what we do at the Williamson County Archives and Museum. So my name is Bradley Boshiers. I'm the county archivist and the director of the Archives and Museum. We are a department of county government. There's a couple different pathways people take to get into like the Archives and Museum field, what we call public history. I myself came through kind of a traditional history track, so I originally went to school to be a historian. Within that, in that line of work, I realized what I really enjoyed wasn't just research and writing or the academic setting, but was working with the public. So working at historic sites, interpreting history, talking to folks, making history that I care about important to other people. So I get the opportunity to do that through the Archives and Museum. So as the Archives Department, our number one responsibility is to collect, preserve, and provide access to county records with historical and administrative value. So the core of what we collect are the official administrative governments of Williamson County. At the same time, we also operate the County Museum, which is located at 5 Points right here in Franklin. At the County Museum, we do collect original artifacts, all things that tie directly into Williamson County's history. We interpret them, put them on display, and use those objects to tell the story of the people, communities, and industries that have shaped development here in Williamson County. We're open regular business hours, so Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 with the regular county hours, and we are open on Saturdays for about half the year, so usually May through October. We usually line up our last Saturday in October to be on Pumpkin Fest with the Heritage Foundation Street Festival. Got my contact information there. I'll put it up again at the end of the program. We're always open to new opportunities to partner, do things local here in the community. Additionally, I will mention that everything we collect is community driven. So we don't go out and acquire anything. We survive, and benefit from the generosity of this community with people bringing donations to us, whether that's, some type of historically significant newspaper clipping record and or, historical objects that we put on display in the museum. So what does that actually look like when we're working with records? So we've got a few examples here that I'm going to go through to kind of show you what that looks like. So on the left-hand side there, you can kind of see what the paper records look like that we deal with. So they come to us in different shapes, sizes, conditions. So we work on cleaning them, we organize them, we index them, make them available. We try to get things nice and neat, like you can kind of see with the boxes there, where it's labeled, it's organized, it's easy for us to access. And we do that through a couple different facilities now. So one, I'll mention our newest asset is the Williamson County Record Center, which we've just brought online here within the past 6 to 8 months. Very excited to have this new county asset now. So this is about 20,000 square foot record storage facility. So it's kind of like a warehouse environment dedicated exclusively to managing county records. So that's kind of our internal facing service where we work with other offices of county government, have the ability to intake records from them, transfer them back to them, all because we have a long list of obligations to the state of Tennessee. So the records management that we do is actually required under state law. So there's a lot of things that we're required to keep permanently, and so that's kind of the core of what we keep at the Record Center. And some of the main record types that you might have encountered if you've done historical or genealogical research. At the same time, pretty much every other type of county record does have a set retention period, things that departments have to manage, deal with, that we're obligated to take care of, and so this new facility allows us to do that. So we've got plenty of storage space there. You can see the big old shelves, all those bound books you can see right there are copies of Williamson County tax records, so original tax books, which, believe it or not, they do come up from time to time. People want to know, what taxes were being paid in 1910, whatever the case may be. We do have nice lab space there as well, so when we intake records, we can clean them, go through them, process them before they hit the main storage area, so we can make sure we're not introducing any critters or contaminants to the county records that we preserve. So on our public-facing side, we have the Archives and Museum, like I had there at 611 West Main Street at 5 Points. So we're just across from the downtown post office. So we provide public access to records through the Archives Reading Room, which you can see there. So there's a number of different resources that we've got that we make available to the public. I'm glad that we're able to provide. So we have an online index as well that facilitates that process. So folks can come in, they can do research from home, they can go online, check the index. They can make requests for records, ask us questions, come in for help. We deal with a lot of genealogical and historical researchers, but we deal with some more modern things as well. Folks are trying to go back to an older court case. We deal with title searches, different things like that come up from time to time. So there's just a list of some of the types of things that we work with and that we get questions about. There's multiple record types that we work with. So like I mentioned, court records there, wills, very valuable source of historical and genealogical information. If you've ever done your own research, you know how much that they can help you along that path. We got photographs here, which I'll mention as well, or talk about here in a second. And then just some other types of records, so burial records, obituaries, and death notices. So some things that we collect that you may not think about it, but can be difficult to find when you're going through types of online indexes, et cetera. There's a lot online now, but not everything is, so that's why we're lucky to have the county archives where we can provide reference service and help people do their own original research. So just one quick example, I just wanted to put something up there so you can kind of see what these 1800s records look like. So again, these are permanent records of county government. So that's a will from John Bostic, who was a Revolutionary War veteran from 1844. You can see the old style cursive there. It can be difficult to read. But that's one thing that we deal with is getting used to reading that text, transcribing it, indexing it, making it so that an individual can come into the reading room, sit down, check the index, and identify that type of record for whatever they're researching. So speaking of photographs, I've just featured a couple here, so we do collect those as well. We have an online photograph index that we've been working hard on. We've got about 6,000 individual photographs indexed at this point. We're always working to add more and describe them and add information. This family here on my left is A.N.C. and Melissa Williams. Some of you guys might have attended the street naming for A.N.C. Williams Way by Bicentennial Park. So this is his family. And on the right-hand side there is his descendant, Mr. Fred Williams, whose house has actually been involved in a preservation project, which you may have seen on Natchez Street, so-called now the Merrill Williams House there. It's undergone some renovations. We have a great photograph there around Christmas time, I think in the early 60s of that house. You can kind of see how close the renovations are to what it originally looked like there. I just love having that tree lit up there in the front yard. It looks great. This, collecting these photographs and everything with that was made possible through a project with Cassandra Williams Taylor, so local Franklinite here, who had lived and worked in Memphis for many years. But as the archives department, we were able to collaborate with her, collect those photographs, bring them in, give them a permanent home. So something that's as valuable as you can see, having that kind of family history and information preserved so we can hold that in the public trust and have that to pass down, basically. Some other type of secondary sources, maps, etc., some different things that we help people with in the reading room as well. That's an example from the state archives. It's a really useful Beers map of Tennessee. You can see all those names listed on there. That type of information is usually difficult to find, so we're lucky to have stuff like that, access to records like that as well. So let me pivot now, last but not least, to the County Museum. You can see some more items there that are from that Fred Williams collection. So not only are we able to add photographs to our indexing collection, but we can then go and put them on display. So those are the types of projects that we like to collaborate with local folks on, trying to bring items into the collection, but not just to hold on to them, but to put them on display so people can enjoy them and learn about the local community there. So that's some of Mr. Fred Williams' original photography equipment, some additional photos that he took from around town. You can see some of the family photos there on the left. So that's the kind of stuff that we like to put together and preserve here locally. With the County Museum, there's a number of different things on display. If you've never visited, please come by and check it out. I encourage you to visit. We recently had a nice project with another local organization, Able Voices. We put on a temporary exhibition to showcase some of the photography from their students and participants that are a member of the photography club in that program. So we had a really nice event for them and a really nice exhibit to go with some of the traditional historical stuff that we interpret. We've got a nice military room is there, just an example of Franklin Rodeo, some of the different types of things that we collect and put on display. Another program that we participate in, I'd encourage you to attend. If you haven't participated in the Franklin Art Crawl, hosted by the Williamson County Arts Council, I'd encourage you to do so. I know they host here at the factory at Franklin, and all the way down Main Street, there's a number of participants. So we are one of those as well. So first Friday, come by and check us out. We're open regular hours during the day, but then we do open on Friday evenings, 6 to 9 p.m., host a local artist, and have the County Museum open during that time as well. And finally here, I do want to promote our newest project, which will be going up, like Mindy mentioned, with the county's birthday this October. So we have a new temporary exhibit that will go on display called Williamson 225. So we're going to bring out some records, some objects, some things that we haven't put on display before to tell the story of the county's history, talk about the founding, talk about some of the different individuals and groups that have made an impact here. Really excited to get to do that. Growing up here in the county, so I'm from Brentwood originally, graduated through the public school system here. Kind of my first love was Civil War history. Like I mentioned, as I progressed through my education and ended up in the public history track, I've really come to enjoy interpreting history, bringing it to life for people, telling those stories. And at the end of the day, telling stories is what we do. So historians, sometimes you dress it up, make it sound complicated, make it dense, but really all we're trying to do is tell folks stories. In our case, tell the story of Williamson County's history, tell the stories of locals here, show how things developed, and how we got to today. It's easy to take for granted. Like I joke with some people, we see what Franklin is now and all the investment and the nice things we have. It can be easy to take for granted, but all that has a clear history and a clear progression. And so we can at least touch a little piece of that through the archives and museum to show how we got to this point so that we can, remember again, just to not take it for granted that a lot of hard work went into making this community what it is today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Bradley. So who knows what that building was before it was the archives? The library, that's right. So we kind of try to keep those things alive here in our community and reuse them. And obviously there was a very historic school on that site prior to it burning to the ground. But there was that, so that little thing. So no big deal there. So we're bringing it back to history here as we wrap up today, and we've got Nat Taylor, who is the managing director of the History and Culture Center operated by the Heritage Foundation on Bridge Street. If you haven't visited, you really should. If you're not a member, you should be, so that you can go and take a friend when they come to visit. It is really a great retelling of Williamson County's history. these two spaces, we are so lucky as a community to have access to these records, but also the stories that Nat and others are telling here at the History and Culture Center. So Nat Taylor, great.
Thanks, Mindy. Hey, Nat Taylor. I'm the managing director of the Moore Morris History and Culture Center of Williamson County. As she said, it's the newest division of the Heritage Foundation of Williamson County. We're in the what's called the old jail. All right, it was the original Williamson County Jail, 1905 through 1940, when the building right next door, which houses the headquarters for the Heritage Foundation, is located in that Art Deco building. We opened in February, and so it's been a cool experience kind of getting the word out about our new institution here. We were recently featured on Tennessee Crossroads on PBS. If you haven't seen that, you should check it out. So it's been a really cool experience for me, being interviewed by journalists, getting the word out in different media publications. And for example, this past spring, I was contacted by a local magazine, Berry Farms Local, wanted to do a cover story on the History Center. And I said, great, let's do it. Had a really good interview with the journalist there. Photographer came by, took pictures all over the building and everything. I was really excited for this, this cover story. And was expecting like a cool picture of the neat historic register property or some of our cool exhibits or whatever. And I get a call from our director of marketing. He said, have you seen the new issue of Berry Farms Local that just came out? And I said, no, why? And he goes, you need to check it out. Glad I could make a good impression on those guys, right? Yeah. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Illinois and moved around quite a bit in my childhood and was really exposed to different cultures and customs and the different variety of people that make up our great country, and was just endlessly fascinated by those differences and getting to know people, and also gravitated towards history as a result, because I think if you want to understand people, you need to study history. So I majored in history in college and pursued a master's degree in history because I was really enjoyed the historical research, having a research question, digging into the historical records to find the answer, and it's kind of that detective work of history, right, that really drew me to it. And my father and I, he was from Michigan originally and was a huge Red Wings fan, so we started coming down to Nashville to go to Preds Red Wings games. I'm dating myself here, but back when you could go to the hockey game and stay at the hotel across the street for a couple $100, right? But I was also tracing my genealogy at the same time, and on my mother's side, I traced it to some of the original settlers of this area, and I said, wow, I could really kind of see myself like living in Middle Tennessee someday. What a great place, and especially Franklin with all its history here, and someday I could see myself living there. Well, my girlfriend at the time got a job in Nashville about 7 years ago, and so I followed her to make the relationship work, and been married 6 years now and have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, so I'm in the thick of it currently. In fact, I've been doing a pretty good job keeping like work and like kids kind of in their own compartmentalized boxes there, but I was reviewing my speaking notes this morning, and on the intro I accidentally wrote, jiggle your car keys to get their attention, so I'm glad I caught that. I got my foot in the door at the Tennessee State Library and Archives as an archivist. I spent a year in archival collection services there, so Brad mentioned sometimes collections come in with bugs and everything, so it's taking in older historical records, getting them clean, make sure all those bugs are out, getting them organized in a way that's going to help researchers know what you have and organize it in a way where they can find it. So I kind of earned my stripes there for a year, and then was promoted in the Archives Development Program with the State Archives, which was designed to help each county in Tennessee create a county archives. So I got to meet Brad a couple times there. Williamson County Archives is great. I mean, we're very well funded here and very great knowledgeable team. So a lot of our efforts went into helping those counties that don't yet have programs. And my biggest win there was basically by the time I worked there were about 80 counties that had a records program. When that program started, there was just a couple. So over the course of 20 years, now the vast majority have these programs. But I was told, as you do your work, go into any of these counties, do not go to Grundy County. So, why not? Just don't worry about it. Just don't go there. It's never going to happen. So you're probably familiar with Grundy County. Yeah, somebody from the state coming in is going to be going to be tough, right? And so I was like, well, that just made me want to do it more. So before I left to join the History Center here, we were able to create a county records program in Grundy County. Just helping counties meet their state mandates for providing public records, keeping those historical records safe for public consumption, keeping them safe, hopefully for the ages forever, preserving that history. And so it was really cool, rewarding work because not only was it history, which I love, but it's also kind of community engagement, community outreach, relationship building, because those two are really my bread and butter, which made the History and Culture Center here at Williamson County such a good fit for me to be director here. As I said, it's in the old jail building here. It's been renovated beautifully. The work that the historians did to put this together, it's come together so well. And one of the main draws is utilizing kind of the latest technology to teach history, preserve the stories of the people that have called this region home for the centuries, and then telling those stories interestingly in a way that can kind of engage people and learn. The original building on this property, by the way, was Benjamin White's Tavern. It was the first bar and tavern and inn in Franklin, right there on Bridge Street, right near the curve there where the old Harpeth River Bridge ruins are. So he was able to get a lot of that traffic, that business traffic, north and south out of Nashville there. So we start guests at the History Center here with kind of our recreation of White's Tavern. You can see guests get to meet Benjamin White himself there in like holographic form, which is really neat. And throughout the building, you'll see these living portraits. We have multiple exhibits starting from the earliest indigenous peoples that lived in this region all through today. And the real draw here, I think, that is so impactful seeing guests engage with these living portraits where, it's an actor, right? We create a narrative based on the historical records, taking their words right from these original records and telling their story through almost this like Harry Potter cool technology. Step in front of it and what appears to be a photograph or a painting comes to life and represents that person and tells their story in their own words. As a history nerd, I can go to museums and just read on the wall all day long, but this is a way to really engage people who don't necessarily enjoy that or learn that way, right? So it's kind of cool to see people engage with this technology, and it kind of opens their eyes to the past were people just like us that just lived in a different era, right? And we have a lot to learn from them by studying their stories. There are also these kind of sliding, kind of rotating slides here with a lot of information that historians have researched and put together about the county and regional history here. Some of you may remember this building was a Monell's restaurant kind of back in the day, and most recently an event center, the McConnell House. So the decision was made to keep that original restaurant bar there because we were also renting the facility out for kind of private events, corporate events. Had a few weddings since I've been there. Turns out really nicely here when it really comes together. So we're also doing basic new programming. I've started a genealogy series there. We're teaching people how to do genealogy research for all different levels of experience. We've had history lectures in there, so cool programming going forward here at the History Center. And we're really proud of how things have come together, just not only through the history research and these exhibits to teach history, but the interior design work that went to renovating this space. And it's in a cool historic building, so kind of those combinations of things makes it a real special place, and I'm proud of the work that we're doing there. And if you haven't been there, really hope to see you there. So, thank you.
So thank you, Barry, for being here. I see you're sneaking. Barry Beasley, the CEO of the Heritage Foundation, here with us this morning also. So I wanted to ask a question of you, Nat. And so what age group is appropriate for bringing to the History and Culture Center?
Well, of course, we want it to be for all ages. I would say the exhibits and the portraits themselves are made for an adult audience to engage. I mean, the kids, would seem up there, it's like, oh, the pictures are talking. It's like Harry Potter, and then that's kind of then they go on to the next one, but adults will just stand there and take it in and listen. So, if kids can find value and think it's neat, but it's mostly made for kind of, older, teenagers and adults, I would say, would take the most from the experience there.
So Bradley, I would ask you similarly, obviously the reading room and some of the records, that's not for the younger folks, but you do have some things that people can come and bring the kids when they're out on Main Street?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is an all-ages facility. So the museum's open. It's open to the public. Group-friendly, family-friendly. I tell folks all the time, we're a county office. It's a public building. It's not a place where you have to be in hushed tones and creeping around. So just come in if you're downtown, visiting downtown for a street festival at the Heritage Foundation. Just swing by and check it out. We're always trying to update things here and there, so we'll have something new to see. Yes, definitely family-friendly, group-friendly. Come see us.
Okay, and I have a question for Chris. So you're bringing students, your current class of students or graduates who are here, they're here for 9 months. Where do they live? How do they live? What are they doing? Tell us a little bit, just to give us some details on the logistics in case someone is interested in learning more about having a fellow in their business.
Yeah, for sure. We host them in host homes. So this is a way to provide hospitality to them and let them work 4 days a week in Williamson County and be able to live and do that. And we try to get them jobs in their field of interest so that they can really see what that's like, and they can really try on maybe what they majored in, maybe what they would like to do. And I always say our job is to help graduates transition from a college life to like the rest of their life, the real world. And so we want to mimic real life. And so we want it to be, if you were to move to Williamson County right now and start working and try to thread together your work life and church, community involvement, service, all of those things in one. We want to give them an honest look at what that's like. And so we still have a couple that will be looking for jobs. And so if this is something you would like to hire a fellow or look at how to do that, I would love to talk to you. The other thing is we want them to know, this is so great, which I'll talk about the history. I always say there's 3 narratives that we focus on. And for us, we're a faith-based nonprofit, so the biblical narrative, God's story, but then also your own story, what is happening in your life. But the third that gets overlooked with the younger generation is the story of place. And so we want them to know deeply the community they're a part of. They will live on their phones, and so their friends live everywhere. They have cars and interstates and parties and tailgates and things to do. And so for them to know the place they live can be the most difficult place for them to know. And so we also would love for them to come to your office or to the Welcome Center or to all the places, the museum, and learn where is this place and how do you live faithfully in a place. So, yes.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank our speakers today, please. So, we appreciate you being here. As I mentioned, our Vision City Conference is coming up, and it ties to this a little bit today, how history impacts the future. That'll be October 15th through 17th. We have a discounted rate right now, $75 off the 3-day rate. We're getting ready to release the agenda today, or this week, I should say, and we're very excited to kind of tie this to what's happening in our community in terms of development. Specifically, if you've heard of the Armistead development, which will be on the Short Farm across from West Haven on 96, that's an agri-hood. And so we're going to have a great speaker, Steve Nygren, who's the founder of Serenbe, southwest of Atlanta, which is a massive agri-hood, thousands of acres. He's coming to speak, as well as Diru Tadani, who has kept the history of Seaside Institute for the last 25 years. And he's an architect and urbanist. We're going to be talking about traditional neighborhood design. And you may think, I don't know what that is, but you live amongst it. If you think of Berry Farms, if you think of even Fieldstone Farms, West Haven, those are all examples of traditional neighborhood design and new urbanism. And we're excited to bring this national level speakers over 3 days to Franklin. We have we have registrations from Washington State. So we're very excited to also include our local folks because we want them to feel that hospitality and have them be here. The registration is $400 for the 3 days. There is a discount right now that includes your meals. And then we also are doing a day rate of $150 per day. But you can find out more about it. Here are some other speakers. Mayor Knox White from Greenville, South Carolina. What an amazing city that uncovered its river and changed the trajectory of its future. James Brainerd, Carmel, Indiana, the former mayor. Carmel is the city with the most roundabouts in the United States of America. And if you don't think you love roundabouts, you've been driving around one ever since you lived in Franklin, because that's what the square is a roundabout. And then also Micah Davis, the vice president of Seaside Development Corporation. So we're excited to partner with Seaside Institute, and we hope that you'll join us October 15th through 17th, some part of that. And we'll be here on Tuesday afternoon, October 15th. Thank you again, Tina Marie, and your people for the hospitality today, but in the future. And we will see you all again soon, and hope to have any questions. Tina Marie and Camilla will give tours. If you want to see more of the facility, feel free to stick around. And thank you so much. Have a great day.